Essentially one agenda item here, and it's concerning ACCSP governance. Cherie Patterson, who is the former chair of the Coordinating Council of ACCSP, is going to give a brief presentation on the issue before us. And if you're ready, Cherie, we'll turn it right over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So ACCSP had a governance review done in 2012. I'm sorry, had an independent program review conducted in 2012. And one of the recommendations that the IPR panel came up with was to undergo a governance review. And they cited these three bullets that you see in the box to the right for reasonings why to go through another governance review. So a governance ad hoc work group that consisted of ACCSP, Coordinating Council, and Ops members was convened, and terms of reference were devised in order to work through any sort of governance decision apart from where the status quo is. So there was 4 terms of reference in a survey that was conducted. The 4 terms of reference you see there on the slide. And the survey was a series of 13 questions of either eliciting comments or getting an opinion from anybody who participated. So this is just an example of one of the questions on how people felt if ACCSP was incorporated into ASMFC. Would it enhance their profile, their stature, and recognition? So we had from the survey 70 respondents. We broke those down further for you guys to see. Coordinating Council members, there were 17 of those that responded to that question, and 6 responded from the Advisors Committee. Again, there were 13 questions. This just shows you an example. And in this particular example, you had almost 70% of the advisors indicate that yes, ACCSP would likely achieve a higher profile if it was a program under ASMFC. A little over half of the Coordinating Council agreed with that, and all of the respondents, a little less than half. So from these terms of reference and the survey, the work group came up with 4 alternatives to fully assess in a white paper. The white paper is 100 pages. If you would like for me to send it to you, please let me know. It will be posted on ACCSP's website as meeting minutes from yesterday's meeting if you want to access it there also. But the 4 alternatives were, of course, the first one being status quo, where ACCSP is an independent program from ASMFC. They are co-housed together. Alternative 2 is some sort of enhanced integration into ASMFC, but ACCSP remains independent. Well, there was a collaboration paper that was produced between Bob Beal and Mike Cahall. And based on that collaboration paper, the work group determined that essentially Alternative 1 and Alternative 2 are the same, with the exception of supervision and oversight. The third alternative was to fold ACCSP into an ASMFC program. And the fourth alternative was to create a standalone agency organization to run ACCSP. Out of those 4 alternatives, the first 3 were felt to be relatively funding neutral. The fourth was considered to have about a 50% increase in the budget if it was going to become a standalone organization. So the governance ad hoc work group, after finalizing this white paper, put together a series of recommendations. And the first and foremost being alternative 3, fold ACCSP into an ASMFC program. This would, under particular conditions, we would like to see it be congruent with existing ASMFC programs similar to ISFMP, that the executive director would directly supervise the ACCSP director. Currently, the governance is having a ASMFC and the chair of the coordinating council co-supervise the ACCSP director. Data collection and management programs should be considered equal. ASMFC may achieve a higher priority. ACCSP may hold a higher priority with state directors, ACCSP partners, and stakeholders under ASMFC, similar to what you saw in that survey question. ACCSP, oh, I'm probably not clicking this, am I? There we go. ACCSP should be maintained as a partner-driven committee process from the technical committees up to the coordinating council. We feel that this was the real strength of this particular program, and it should not be broken down in any way from that. Maintaining this bottom-up management approach that incorporates all partners, federal, advisors, state, was very important to maintain the integrity of the program. And if there was a decision to change the governance, that a work group be developed to continue to develop further recommendations of this restructuring. And the ad hoc work group felt that that particular work group members would be essential, but also have other coordinating council members that wish to join. The operations and advisory committee members, if they wish to join. ASMFC and ACCSP staff would be critical. And if any of the ASMFC commissioners were interested, then they should join this work group also. So this recommendation went to the ACCSP Executive Committee and Coordinating Council Monday, and both of those entities approved this recommendation, and this was brought forth to the ASMFC Executive Committee yesterday, of which they developed a motion that passed unanimously, that the Executive Committee bring forward to the full Commission for its consideration the integration of the ACCSP under ASMFC governance. Now we have to wake up.
Okay, can we put that motion back up on the board?
I could try.
I guess.
What I see on my screen is not what you're seeing. There you go.
That's, I was wondering what was going on there.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions for Cherie or the Executive Committee about this recommendation? Seeing none, this is a motion from the committee. Yes, Bob?
Just a quick comment to echo some of the comments that Cherie made on process, which is if this motion were to pass, we'd set up a working group. That working group would work out some of the details of what this transition means. You know, what happens, what does the coordinating council look like for ACCSP? What does the ACCSP Executive Committee, what's their new role, if any? And some of those details, and then there'll be likely have to be some changes to the ACCSP MOU as well. So we'll do all those things between this meeting and the August meeting. So this full commission will see, we'll have more decision points, or at least get another report at the August meeting on the status of the transition if this motion passes.
Do you think that we need any changes to the compact or charter with the new?
Well, you may need some changes to the commission rules and regulations. The ISFMP charter is really just the ISFMP portion of the commission, so it may require some changes to the rules and regs, which we could bring forward at the August meeting if necessary.
Any questions? Okay, we have a motion on the board that came forward from the executive committee. It does not need a second. Do you need time to caucus on this? Raise your hand if you need time to caucus. Okay, seeing none, then all those in favor of the commission passing this motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Abstentions? No votes? It passes unanimously. Is there any other items to come before the ASMFC business session? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved, seconded by the chair, and we'll move right into the workshop. Bob, do you want to introduce Colette?
It's going to take just a couple seconds for us to switch over. You have a quiz in front of you, and you're going to want to get that finished. So while I'm doing my setup, you can do yours. That's perfect. And meanwhile, we were talking about sound levels. Is this going to be too high? Do you want to do anything with it? Leave it alone? I'll take it down a little bit.
All right, while Colette's getting ready, just as a brief introduction, Colette's come to the commission at least twice before, if not 3 times before, and provided us some valuable lessons on parliamentary procedure, meeting management, and other things to get us through our business efficiently. We've asked Colette to come back again and really give us a refresher, or the first time for some of the newer folks. When we became 45 people around the table, efficiency became more important. So, Colette's going to help teach us some tricks and the general rules of Robert's Rules of Order to keep us moving along during our meetings and make sure that we, the decisions that the commission makes reflects the will of the board and that everyone has a fair voice and a number of other details. So. With that, I think I'll just turn it over to Colette and she can run with it. But if you, I've also asked Robert Boyles to move up to the front. Robert's going to be the chair, or our mock chair of the role-playing exercise that's kind of embedded in Colette's presentation today. So Robert's up here, and I think a number of you guys have speaking roles. And if you've been handed off a role from someone else in your delegation that had to leave early, then when their name comes up, just step right in. So with that, anything else, Colette, or are we all set?
I can't think of a thing. Good afternoon. Here comes the boring part, except I'm not going to let you sleep. I'm Colette Collier-Trohan. I am a certified professional parliamentarian teacher and professional registered parliamentarian. I apologize if I've got my back to you part of the time, but it's going to happen the way we're set up today. I like to call this Robert's Rules for Realists. We have a bunch of very interesting things happen when we try to get a large group together to make a common decision. So today's agenda, we are a little bit off, it looks like. We had call to order, and then we're going to show you some resources. We'll talk a little bit about that most important piece of parliamentary procedure and group decision making. That's the motions. And then how we're going to flow for the rest of the day, we're just going to take it as it comes. And we're just going to throw out the rest of the agenda and make it happen. So the quick quiz, how many of you have gone through it and finished it? A lot of you, that's why I passed it out a little bit early. So the rest of you can follow along, but let's take a look at that quiz, because in it are a lot of the misperceptions. One of the problems we have isn't just what's in the rules, it's what people think is in the rules. And so you get somebody that's, I'm just going to try to take this down a little bit. I try not to be too loud. That's a little better. Okay, let's look at number one. And I have all of the answers on another handout for you. So I'll leave those for you if you want them, and they've even got all the cool page numbers. First one, a majority is 51% of the votes cast. Who says that's true? Who says that's false? Congratulations, it is false. By definition, a majority is more than half. We've gotten used to this weird idea of 51%, and thanks to a lot of people who like to write condo and homeowner association bylaws, it's actually gotten integrated into a lot of other documents. But 51% only works when it's 100. What's 50% of 13? So what's 51% of 13? It's really just the first number, the first whole number that is more than half. Second, just happens to be second, the person seconding the motion must be in support of that motion.